Okay.
Those three guys.
Hey,
Sorry about it.
Do your Grim Jim impression.
Oh fuck! Not again. Hello, Governor. It's Inappropriate Characters.
All right. Hello and welcome to Inappropriate Characters. At long last, forgive our our sound issues. They will eventually be fixed. This is we've got a new video guy and we're doing some new work here, so you'll just have to be a little patient. But next time we're going to get it a lot clearer right from the start. This is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in Internet Shitlords. And I'm accompanied, as always, by the stalwart Venger Satanis and by our brand new co-host after an extensive search and lots of interesting people that offered to join in. We've decided on Joe Bittman, also known as Joby Bittman, also known as Gob Bittman. He'll let you know how to pronounce his name when I let him talk. But just before that, I wanted to explain, in case anybody is listening that didn't already know about this, what happened and why Grim Jim is no longer in our little group here. Most of you probably heard all this already, and I gave a detailed explanation of this on my own YouTube channel on my live stream called The Band is Breaking Up. So you can get the full story there. But to put it in very, very brief terms, what happened is that
Easy does it now.
Venger decided that, sorry?
I said Easy does it now.
Venger decided, Grim Jim decided that,
We're interchangeable
Grim Jim
to
decided
pundit.
that he, you are. You're just, you're just vehicles for my grandeur. But anyways, Grim Jim decided that he wasn't going to be able to keep interacting with someone who doesn't believe that the COVID pandemic is the doom of all humanity, and therefore we have to stay on lockdown forever, right? He has a very particular view of this. Now, to be fair, he had this view. This all happened like a week ago, and at that time, it was before you had like 30,000 people on the streets of London. So, I don't know if now his opinion has changed.
Well, I can leave if he comes back. It's fine.
We wouldn't kick you out, dude. I mean, we'd work out some sort of like custody exchange.
All right, sounds good. All right. Well,
Hey, you got the Slee Stack T-shirt, so I gotta give you props for that.
Oh yeah, Metal Gods. You're a little hard to understand, Pundit.
His thing is always like that. That's not technically this time. That's like a constant.
Yeah, I've seen the show before a few times. So I guess, I don't know, I guess I'll introduce myself. Job Bittman, that's how you pronounce it. I've done RPG stuff for over a decade now. Written for Wizards of the Coast, Kobold Press, Goodman Games, did some DCC stuff for them. And I have my own imprint, Bloody Hammer Games, but I'm working on getting a store set up. It's not quite up yet. I've done a couple releases, and I'm working on another game, a couple other projects on the back burner right now. But I don't want to be called Joe Bittman. I was trying to come up with a better title, some cool handle like you guys. So I'm probably going to try out a few of them. But this was available on Twitter, so I went ahead and registered Hentai Dad 42069. So if you guys will please refer to me as Hentai Dad 42069 until further notice, I would greatly appreciate it.
That is both an excellent name for Twitter and one that I'm never going to call you.
What will you call me?
I don't know. Someone in our
Call me
chat
Daddy.
has suggested the Jobster. The Jobster isn't bad.
Was it Hentai Death something?
Hentai Dad 42069.
Yeah, I'm a visual learner. I can't just, as my wife will tell you, I can't just like hear things and remember them.
Well, I figured if I join this show, I might get some hate. So if they're gonna have to say who they hate, they're gonna have to say that freaking Hentai Dad 42069. Can't stand that guy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
You better get some
Modern
hate, 'cause if we don't rub
framing
off
of
on you, then
language here.
we failed.
Before we move on to our first really interesting topic of the night, I want to point out that there were a lot of people that were considered and that were interested in being our next regular co-host. So that means, first of all, that the Jobster is going to have to really up his game to make sure that we keep him on board. But but it also means that I think what we can do also, I think what we ought to do in the future, in future episodes. I haven't talked about this with the two of you guys yet, but there were a lot of really interesting guys that wanted to join us. And I think that we can have a lot of guest stars over the next few episodes. There were tons of people I could name. I mean, Aaron is one of them. Harrison
Zach
Hunt.
S. Thanks, but no thanks.
No. But
Mike Merles, maybe next time.
the evil GM was interested. So there's a lot of people that we might have on in the future as guest co-hosts in specific episodes. So
there was that death metal guy that actually killed a dude.
Oh yeah, no, not him.
Varg or something or other.
Yeah, Varg.
We might probably the best suggestion we got from
he wasn't controversial enough, so that's why we didn't choose him.
Yeah. The best suggestion we got from the chat was to have my cat Big Chungus, who appears regularly on my YouTube channels. It is with her own camera doing acting as guest co-host, which would she doesn't really have any credits in the D&D scene, but she'd probably be a better game master than Jeremy Crawford. So there is that,
Unfortunately, I have to admit that I blackballed Big Chungus because I didn't want her to overshadow me.
That's
literally
that's the point. And a genuine concern. So to start with tonight, we were going to start by talking about something to do with a very funny thing we found on a website called itch.io, which is kind of an SJW game designers website. And we are going to talk about that in a little while. But first, just as we were doing the technical stuff together with Job here, he mentioned something that I said, no, hang on, we've got to talk about this. This is going to be way more fun for our audience, right? And it's basically that Job has some serious buyer's remorse about Vengers, how to game master like a fucking boss. So I'm going to be the moderator here, and I'm going to have Job explain his beef with that product, and then Venger can respond, and well, hilarity will no doubt ensue. So take it away, Hentai Dad.
All right, you call me by my name. Well, I wish I could find any books on my bookshelf back there, but I was hoping that you offer some kind of money back guarantee for dissatisfied customers, because I wanted to check out something you did like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
With all my RPG Now credits that I'm sure the only people that are like always buying crap on RPG Now are other designers. But so I picked up how to game master like a freaking boss. And I got about 2 pages into the thing, and you're telling me how to take a shower, and I need to dress properly, and I think a haircut or something. You get all kinds of hygiene advice.
Yeah.
That
rubbed you the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, no, not in my GM book. Fuck that.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Don't tell me what to do with soap. I'm my own person. So,
Well,
I couldn't get past that. I flipped through it a little bit deeper, and then I was like, what the hell? And I've seen your Chalt book, and the cover looks interesting, and I thought
it is interesting.
That might be okay. I might want to check that one out. But then I see how to game master like an effing boss, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe not.
It's just full of really good suggestions. Nothing is mandatory. It's not like a list of commandments. I'm not as preachy or dictatorial as Pundit would be. But I do have a lot of recommendations, a lot of advice. It's an advice book. So I'm just giving advice like left and right. Not everything is a black pearl of wisdom that should be like engraved upon your tombstone.
Okay.
But there's a lot of good stuff in there that.
See, you're getting a lot of sales on that one?
Actually, it's probably up there. Is it platinum? I think it might be platinum.
Damn. It must have been a lot of 5e players or something.
I don't know who's buying it.
Do your market research, man. Anyway, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but
I am
a game like a fucking boss and Alpha Blue. I think are my two highest
sellers
sales-wise. But
yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, there's just people that left it 1-star reviews. I don't know if you're one of those.
I didn't. I wasn't that mean. I just sat on it for several years and was waiting for a chance to spring it on you in person.
Okay. Well, skip that part if it offends you when you reread it, and then get to the other good stuff. Like if you happen to like premature ejaculate, then go down on your girl and give her some satisfaction because someone's got to.
Yeah, I guess
you will recall, gentlemen, that I reviewed How to Game Master Like a Fucking Boss.
What did you say about it? What was your impression
my review
of it?
was not kind. I reviewed most of Benjer's stuff, and some of his stuff is I think he's made a couple of books that are just absolutely great books. The best thing Benjer ever did was The Island of Purple Haunted Putrescence. That's an incredible gonzo fantasy setting book that you could use. Like, it would fit so well into DCC. It's fantastic, right? And then the second best thing he's done, I think, frankly, is Chalt, which is definitely an example of stupid gonzo fantasy, but it is maybe the greatest stupid gonzo fantasy product I've ever seen. It's really, and it runs really well, when people are playing through it. So it's a very good product. But then Grimm's also done a bunch of stuff that I think he was just kind of dialing it in or something. I don't know what's going on there. And as far as game master advice, like, I didn't really pay too much attention to the advice about, like personal hygiene. I was a bit more worried about some of his game mastering advice that I thought was not really on board. But people can check out my review on the RPG Sites reviews sub forum. It's on there, so you can see what I say about it. Let's just say a lot of that advice was either really basic stuff or stuff that the stuff that wasn't really basic was stuff that I wasn't sure I agreed with.
I remember one thing that you said, it wasn't really a criticism, it was just kind of a offhanded comment. You thought it reminded you of some of the game mastering advice from Amber, the diceless role-playing game. And we both agreed that, like, it's similar kind of in tone or approach, but it doesn't really...
Yeah, some parts...
Like, I don't know if you could, like... I mean, I didn't consciously, like, pull things out of different places. But obviously, growing up with Amber, along with all the other role-playing games that I have, I've internalized a lot of stuff that I've read and then I've tried out and that works for me, and I just kind of like threw it all together in a big gumbo melange kind of stew. And then
Eric Wujcik, who was the creator of Amber, he also was the guy who did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG, Ninjas and Super Spies, Rift's China.
Right.
he was also my mentor in RPG designing, right? And a personal friend. He passed away quite a long time ago now. Wonderful guy. And his DMing advice in Amber, in the Amber book and in the Shadow Knight source book for Amber, were, I think, the best collection of DMing advice that you would ever be able to get. And it certainly helped make me a much better DM from the moment I got it back in 1991. I think that's a long time ago. But let's just say, how did Game Master Like a Fucking Boss? It's not something that I think is on that scale, but maybe there were parts that were inspired a bit by that, and that's great. But there was also some stuff that I don't remember because, my memory is Swiss cheese, but I don't remember what bits they were, but there were definitely some bits I looked at and goes, he's totally out to lunch on this. And there were others that were fine, right? But I thought, I was really surprised. I knew that that book has sold really, really well for you, which suggests to me that there's probably a ton of people that are really desperate for good books on DMing advice. But it's like, no, I mean, like, because, most people buy stuff on Drive-Thru-RPG without knowing what's necessarily going to be in there. But so in terms of marketing, I'll grant you it was marketing genius. It obviously did very good for you. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I regret, and I bet you that Presses Intermedia regrets, that the book on game mastering I wrote for them like 10 years ago, that they never ended up publishing it. I don't know why. I was paid for it, but they never published it.
Yeah, I remember you said that. That just seems like such a missed opportunity. There are people on your forum that were like,
I would have said,
I think I can show you because these people bought it from me.
Yeah. So nowadays, I'm just going to do my game mastering advice on my YouTube channel, but clearly
which has done really well for you.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. My YouTube just 2,000 subscribers, by the way. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. If you're not subscribed, check out my YouTube channel, The RPG Pundit, and subscribe now.
Because sometimes I comment on there. And
we've got the
Jolt with an exclamation point.
We've got the chat up in the stream now, so I think we should turn it over to the viewers. And if you have how to game master like a weird ass guy who was very hygienic, hit F in chat right now so everyone can know if you own that book and you don't like it.
Or comment if you have played with someone, either a game master or a player, that their hygiene was so bad that either you stopped gaming with them, or you because you stopped showing up, or because you disinvited them. You're like, dude, I'm singling you out. You cannot come to the game anymore because of your hygiene, XYZ, whatever. Because we've all been there, right? We all know someone that's just
nobody has your book. No one's chatting in the room.
So you know what's going on here, guys.
They rejected it.
You know what's going on here, right? This is just like being a host on Inappropriate Characters is kind of like being in prison, right? Job just came into the pen, and he knew he needed for a survival tactic to find one guy and punch him just so no one else is going to mess with him, right? So that's what we've done tonight. And congratulations on having perfectly understood the dynamic of this show, Joe.
You son of a bitch.
You're next, pundit.
Yeah.
All right.
I will tag team him with you because that guy needs to be taken down.
Please don't tag team me.
Yeah, but I'm the Latin king of this program, guys. So
that's true.
You mess with me, you mess with the crew.
All right. Anyway. Well, I screwed up the timeline, the start of the show already. We probably should move on to the next topic.
All right. So before we go into the big topic, I know that some people wanted to shill their wares tonight, especially Venger. So we could take a moment now for each of us to mention what we're working on, or currently selling. That way we front load it rather than putting it at the end when everybody can just run away.
Yes.
Good idea. So we'll give, since Venger is the offended party in our first segment, let's let him start in our second and tell us what are you up to, Venger? How's it going? Are you doing a Kickstarter right now? And if so, how's it doing? or what are you up to?
Oh,
He's gonna
hang
go
on.
get something. He's
Oh,
getting
Benji's
something.
going to get something. All right.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, I just had to get something. See, I could put my book in front of the camera too.
Well
Hasn't
done.
shown up yet because of the time, space
That's
distortion.
shiny.
Yes. So no, I have been forbidden from doing any more Kickstarters until I sell all the copies of Chalt that I have in the basement of the house that my wife and I own jointly together.
What? I thought you lived in a basement. What's going on?
Used to, but now I'm in like all 3 floors.
Nice.
So,
Wow.
but you know what? The last Kickstarter was Chalt Fuchsia Malaise, and that's in layout right now. So that PDF should be done and out to people by July 1st. And then those files eventually go out to the printer. Friesens, who did Chalt, did a great job. Very high quality, luxurious hardcovers. They're going to do the same thing again with a new one. And then that's going to go out to backers. And then I'm going to have a bunch of those in the basement that I'm going to sell too, direct sales. So if you want one, buy one. Go to my website, Avengers Old School Gaming Blog, and either see the information, ordering information there, or just send me an email and ask me, whatever.
I will say that Chalt is a very good product for the type of product that it is, right? Like that if you like the sillier sort of gonzo fantasy, but with a lot of action, a lot of danger, it's a big mega dungeon with a lot of really weird stuff and quite a bit of stuff that can potentially kill you, and gives your characters a lot of place to explore. Just don't expect a dungeon that is like one of these ecological dungeons where everything makes sense. No, that's not what you're doing here, right? You're doing something totally different. You're doing a wacky dungeon where you get one weird thing after another that you even question how it can possibly be there. But it's a lot of fun to run through. So because I mean, in my DCC campaign, I obviously, what I do is I sometimes take something Avengers, change it almost completely, and then run it. And I kind of did that with Chalt since he sent me a review copy. So I took out the silliest parts in my case and put in some slightly less silly stuff or some stuff more related to my particular DCC setting. But the players really enjoyed it. And, it killed one of the main players. Like my player characters in DCC are like really high level because it's been 7 continuous years of running this DCC campaign. And the warrior Heidi, who was the second highest character in the group, died in that pyramid, so
What killed him?
But they were all really impressed with it.
What ended up killing him?
He ended up dying in this there's this one room where you had some like weird psychic mutants or something like that, and I turned it into a place where there was like a place where you would have a gladiatorial type of challenge.
Uh-huh.
And the problem is Heidi and an NPC, they asked that the rulers of this chamber asked for the best warrior to come forward, and they both thought they were the best warrior. So they fought each other first, and Heidi won, but then he had like 1 hit point left, and he couldn't get a hold of any healing. And then they brought out their champion, and their champion just murdered Heidi. So it was very tragic, very tragic. But then Boy saved the day using a scroll of forgetting, where he made everybody think that he'd actually somehow defeated the super warrior in battle, and that they would let everybody go. So it was a lot of fun. It's that kind of weird stuff that can happen in a setting like Chalt.
Well, Pundit, it sounds like you reviewed had a Avengers game mastering book before I ever bought it. So how long did it take the stink of that book to like go away so that you could enjoy Chalt?
Well, I've always known that Avengers products are hit and miss, right? And some of them some of them have like gems, little bits that you can take and that are really good to put into like your own campaign, especially if like, you know, you and I are both big DCC fans, that you can put into DCC stuff that works, right? But then there's a lot of stuff that he does that's just like, I ask why, you know, but Chult, I enjoyed quite a bit. Anyways, have you got something to show for us, Job?
Me? Not really. You know what? Actually, I can show you something. One thing.
All right. While Job is doing that, I'm gonna say that right now the thing I'm selling is my Star Adventure RPG, a space opera OSR product, which is it's RPG Pundit Presents number 100. It's a short product. You can get it from DriveThruRPG in print and PDF combined for just $9.99. And I have to say, it's sold like crazy. I'm so happy about this. Anybody who's gotten it here, thank you very much. And anyone who hasn't, you really want to pick it up because it's been really popular, hugely good reviews. No 1-star reviews on that one. And people are really liking it. It's only like about 40 pages long, but it's packed, and it's got everything that you could want in terms of the framework of rules for an OSR space opera game based on the same mechanics that I used in Lion and Dragon. So if you like Lion and Dragon, you're definitely going to like Star Adventure, assuming you like sci-fi space opera at all. And yeah, it's doing great. And look in the future for new issues of RPG Pundit Presents, which will be coming out later. Right now, the thing I'm actually working on is sort of secret, and it's probably not going to come out for like a year or more because it's going to take a lot of work. But it's going to be another big RPG that, we'll see. I haven't even decided exactly who's going to publish it yet, but I've started, you know, I always believe in writing all the book or most of the book before I even start the concept of trying to get it published, right? Because otherwise you get huge delays. So I'll talk more about that later. Job, you got your book there to promote?
Yeah, so I've got, I just found, this is an old thing. I did this like zine style adventure. So it's got a cover by
Demon Idol. I know that one. I reviewed that one too.
Oh yeah, a long time ago. And then I don't know, it's got this map that I drew a while back for.
You drew that?
Page, yeah, for a one-page dungeon and adventure. You can get this.
That's a
Thanks. You can get this picture, like if you just look up one-page dungeon and Joe Bittman. I won the like best homage or something 2013.
Cool.
So this is an older one, but I had moved a couple times and I lost all the covers that I had printed. But I found them again. So if you go to bloodyhammergames.com and just keep refreshing it for several weeks, hopefully I'll get my store up. I'm gonna be selling this one. Stefan's working on a new cover for the follow-up to this called Blood Hive. But again, these, you know, I shouldn't even be promoting these because I'm not ready to sell them for a little bit. But I remember when you actually, Pundit, when you reviewed this, you gave me some shit afterwards because you're like, I can't buy it anywhere. You can't buy it anywhere anymore. They used to sell it on the Goodman Games website, and another guy, this paranoid guy, Roy, who used to sell them at cons, and then he just like disappeared one day with, I don't know, I gave him like 20 copies. I never heard from him again. Actually, he tried to friend me on Facebook, but I just blew him off.
Well, I do remember though that I gave the Demon Idol itself, like the product itself, a good review, didn't I? It was a very good dungeon crawl, and that's also an adventure that I used in my DCC campaign.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Unlike Venger, everything I do is great.
Well, you know, to be honest, every product that you've sent me has been not only really good, but I've also made use of it in my DCC campaign. And one of them, of course, which was the 998 Council of Wizard or something like that.
Yeah, Conquer the Wizard. Yeah, you did a little send off on it on your.
Yeah, I did. I did an RPG Pundit Presents products called The Great Floating City of Lol, which was originally like, it was because I used that adventure in my campaign, and then of course Bill the Elf and his crew of player characters came in there and absolutely ruined that city, right? And so it became so different that I said, okay, I mean, now I can actually make a product out of this because it barely resembles Bitman's original version, right? But people who've got both products are probably going to see, oh yeah, this is the same city after Bill the Elf absolutely destroyed it, And so now it's got like, warring factions stuff. I think I sent you the PDF of that, but
yeah, I read it actually. Yeah, it was pretty good. I definitely could see the influence, but I didn't think it was a ripoff or anything.
No, not a ripoff, but
I like your stuff.
obviously inspired.
You're a
and
dick,
thank you
but
for that.
you're a good game designer.
Yeah, thank you.
But mostly a dick.
And I am both. I am both, gentlemen.
And hey, did it ever occur to anyone that maybe my general audience or the role-playing game audience in general isn't worthy of everything I write? And maybe that's why some people think
I'm definitely not worthy
collections
of it.
of my work suck. Is that a possibility?
I don't think it's just that people are unworthy, Benjer. I think there's.
I think the unworthiness is definitely a factor.
I think that you sometimes do works that are really brilliant, and then sometimes you just decide not to go to all the effort. So I think that if all of your stuff was done,
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Sorry.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Well, I don't know. It seems to me like you make a ton of stuff, and then, if you made slightly less products, but made them all at the same level of attention that you gave to the islands of Putrescence or to Chalt, it would then you'd be like, one of the masters maybe. But
that's kind of what I've been doing now. Right now, it took me about a year to do Chalt. I think I did one other little side piece while I was writing Chalt for the full year. And now with Chalt, Fuchsia Malaise, that's also pretty much taken me the better part of a year. And besides revising Crimson Dragon Slayer D20, I haven't really done much of anything. So yeah, I've been focusing my energies, been concentrating and honing, a lot of honing going on.
Yeah, well, that's good. There's always room for improvement. I've certainly learned that myself over the years. All right, So let's move on to the next topic, which is just based on something that someone pointed out to me, that there's this website called itch.io, which is, I guess it's like a site for designers of basically SJW RPG products. And they did this kind of project of theirs, which was a project of how they would make a 6th edition of D&D. Except that they also mentioned that the people that are allowed to do this project have to be like, queer or people of color or non-conforming or stuff like that. Like basically, it was an opportunity for people to design how they would do 6th edition D&D, as long as the person doing the designing isn't a straight white male. And they ended up making like a whole bunch of products, and of course all of them are hilariously laughable. But it was very interesting to me because they it was just so obvious why we need to fear the possibility of an actual SJW making a 6th edition of D&D. I see that Job's put up on the screen here. This is the title of one of the 6E products. This One Woman, Zero Merles RPG has nothing to do with that Zero Women, One Merles RPG, right? So that gives you an idea of the sort of things that they decide to focus on instead of, say, solid game design. I don't know if you guys have looked at some of these, but they're a bundle of hilarity.
Yeah, I forgot my printout, but I read through the One Woman Zero Merles RPG one, and I don't know. I mean, as far as the design, there wasn't very much there, and they kind of call. I don't know if you got the quote there, pundit, but they kind of called you, and it seemed like they were calling you and Zach Smith out.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, let me see if I have it on here, but God. Yeah, I lost it. anyway, yeah, they just kind of talk some crap about you and Zach, and they say that what did she say? This RPG wasn't designed by consultants, white male heterosexual consultants or something.
Yeah, she said this project didn't hire an all-white male team of consultants, 2 of which have been credibly accused of harassment and/or abuse.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, that's
Which
ridiculous.
Is funny because I haven't abused anyone, and
what?
If I've
steady on there, old chap.
Okay, sorry, I've abused Venger, but I don't think the SJWs would care,
No, they probably cheer you on, bastards.
Yeah. And the only way you could accuse me of harassment is if you defined harassment as me saying mean things to you on public social media, because I've never gone and said mean things to people on their private social media, or anything like that, or on their email, or told anyone to do that. In fact, I always tell people when I'm making fun of someone, don't go and harass these people, and don't go and harass these guys from the 6E Game Jam. Just be forewarned that this is what you can expect. I mean, we all knew this, right? We all knew that what they're going to do if they end up in control of 6th edition, if the SJWs control Wizards and they end up making a 6th edition,
they already
it'll
do.
Be full of terrible game design combined with insane social justice nonsense,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and yeah, they already do to an extent, but it was interesting that actually the guy, their hero in Wizards of the Coast, the SJW's hero is Jeremy Crawford, right? Who is, we've now seen he doesn't know a damn thing. Maybe we'll talk more about that in a second. He doesn't know a damn thing about game mastering. But he's the guy that is their champion right now within the Wizards staff. And yet when they replaced Mike Merles, they didn't replace Mike Merles with him. They replaced him with Ray Winninger, who is very left-wing, kind of more of an old school commie than a modern SJW, I think. But it's noticeable that they didn't give the job to Crawford. So I wonder about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've talked to a lot of the ex-Wizards employees, and almost everyone says, well, not almost everyone, but I've heard multiple times that the people that were still at Wizards are the people who were good at keeping their jobs, not good game designers. And I think that's totally true. I mean, 5e is okay, but it's better than 4e. I guess that's the best thing I could say about it.
That's it.
Well, look, I think 5e mechanically, just if you look at it from a mechanical point of view, it's better than any of the editions of D&D that Wizards came out with as a company.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's better than 3rd edition too. I don't know.
That's
really?
The main
I don't know. I was
going
to say 3rd edition was better.
Really?
I think so, just because it's so iconic. I mean, there's a lot of game, I don't know, D20 kind of technology. I don't know what the goddamn word is. That spread out into all games. Yeah. Like the core, the framework there, that's kind of spread out into so many other games.
I don't know if that's nostalgia or if that's you're kind of talking about the glut of third party. Well, I mean, most of it was junk. There are some gems in there too, but there's thousands and thousands of stuff and.
Yeah, but I mean, just the game rules in general.
Early 3rd edition.
Yeah, early 3rd edition.
Early 3rd edition was groundbreaking in some important ways, but you also have to make a distinction between 3rd edition, the game, and the OGL and the D20 license as a concept. Those are two different things, right? The real thing that was incredibly groundbreaking about early Wizards of the Coast was that they did the OGL, and that allowed 1,000 flowers to bloom, right? That in a way eventually led to the OSR, right? It led to all of that. And that was really great. If you look at 3rd edition of the game, there's some stuff that it does that obviously cleans up parts of first and second edition. You can't deny that, right? Like ascending AC, that's obvious, right? And a lot of the basic D20 mechanic, those are really good mechanics. But there's also big parts of third edition, and in particular, the idea of rewarding game knowledge, right? Like if the third edition was set up in character creation and character advancement, that the player who spends all his time studying and gamifying the rules is going to end up having an advantage over players who aren't going to bother to do that. And I thought that was a critical mistake of third edition. The biggest mistake, of course, was later. It was the rules bloat. It was all the supplement bloat. It was all the additional, feats and prestige classes and additional spells and all that stuff that ended up making the system collapse, right? But yeah. Some comments here from the audience.
Oh yeah,
someone
what's going on
says,
there?
attacking the RPG pundit is like going to church for the SJW community. Yeah, that's fair. Then someone here apparently says, shut your mouth, Venger. I'm not sure what that's in regards to, but they said it in capital letters.
No.
After Job said third edition is better, Aaron the Pedantic says Job is fired now.
Canceled.
Yeah, Job's status canceled. Snowman says Wizard of the Coast fucked up big time by allowing SJWs into their business. Well, yeah, but everybody did that, right? All the big companies made this pact with the devil, thinking because they fell for all of these university graduates that told them that social justice was marketing gold when it was actually the opposite, right? Like it's destroyed everything it's touched, right? And in fact, the proof that 5e is such a great system is that the SJWs haven't been able to really destroy it yet, you know?
I mean, it seems like that would be a good idea. Like, oh, you should be compassionate and think about other people and want to lift people up and just generally be nice to other people.
Fuck that.
But then they twist it and they take it too far. They throw the baby out.
Yeah, that's not what they do. That's like saying that Antifa is about protecting minorities or something like that.
Yeah, and then it just turns into garbage. And then things go. Everything curves, and so if you're not careful, you start going north, and then eventually you walk far enough, and you start going south.
Very well said, Venger. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Book, you'd appreciate that then.
All right, guys. So what's our next topic for the evening?
We flogged this dead horse.
Almost.
I don't know. You want to go off on Crawford?
So it's got to be a short one.
Oh yeah, Venger's got to go in like 8 minutes. This is normal, Job. Don't worry. Venger always has to leave early because
it's not you, it's me.
Patreon money. That's basically it, guys. Audience, remember, if you want Venger to get to stay up later, you have to give us more Patreon money, right? So if you want to support us, donate to the Patreon. Inappropriate Characters is not monetized on YouTube.
Hey, wait, what am I getting cut in on this Patreon money? Jesus Christ, you guys.
No, eventually, if you get past the probation period, you'll get your share. Don't worry.
Okay.
But yeah, so support us on Patreon if you want Venger to get to stay up later. Sorry, Venger?
Probation lasts about 14 years.
No, it's it'll start prorated here.
Give us some sorority girls, and then we'll talk. Then we'll start hazing you too.
So yeah, support us. Anyway, very briefly before Venger has to go, we've got here Jeremy Crawford recently said on Twitter that he believes that it's perfectly good if you have a scene in an RPG that doesn't go. If you're playing an RPG, it doesn't go the way the players want it to go. You should just do it over again. You should get to have a do-over, right? Like this is his idea of good game mastering and of good policy for D&D. And I did a whole video. You guys can check it out on my channel. It's my latest video where I said Jeremy Crawford doesn't know the most basic thing about game mastering, where I explain why this is a tremendously terrible idea. But that should be obvious to just about anyone who's a game master. Venger, since you'll have to go first, do you want to comment at all on this? Did you watch my video? Do you know about this? This
Yes, yes, I do. I saw your original post, and then I did watch your video. I don't know if his idea was to like ride the coattails of the like checklist of consent, and like, well, all your characters got horribly tentacle raped. So do you guys want to like keep going, or like should we just kind of retcon this thing? I don't know if that he had that in mind, or if he was just like, you know what, gaming should be about fun, and sometimes if your characters die or something just turns out stupid, like just redo it. Like I would like to know kind of where his thinking was. It's wrong in either case. I think in the 35 years that I've been game mastering, I've maybe retconned something, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, and it was to, you know, maybe to save the game, because I don't know. Partially, it was probably something my fault that I didn't consider. That was like, oh, obviously you should be able to do that, and we didn't think about that. And let's like redo that. Like let's kind of like back up and like, oh, I guess he could. So we just kind of like shoehorn the new reality into what was. But Crawford seems to be going even farther. Like anytime you want during the game, if you're just not happy with the result, you could just request a do-over. And
well, I mean, that's the mindset of people now, right? Is like if these kids don't like how something is going to turn out, they just want to change everything, and you're intruding on their mental space or safe space or whatever the hell you're using violent words against them or something. I mean,
maybe it's a millennial thing.
In my video, I put a comparison there to like how, there are colleges now where kids are protesting, demanding that everybody get an A. So it's the same sort of stupid mentality that you see. Like, oh, everyone should get an A, right? And they don't get that if the college just gives you an A, then you've achieved nothing, right? You've accomplished nothing, you've learned nothing, right? And it's the same thing with D&D, right? Like whatever, as you said, Venger, whatever the motive is, if you do a do-over, then you're actually saying nothing in the virtual world of the game actually matters, right? Like there's no skin in the game, right? There's nothing that's going to actually be important, because you know that you can just redo it.
Right. Consequences go away. There's literally no stakes. You're just like, then it ceases to become a game. It's just about like fantasizing about stuff.
I really have no respect for those designers over there. I mean, the only person I sort of thought was had some good ideas was Merle's, but Crawford. I remember I was in like I wrote some 4E stuff, and I was in like a Gen Con. I talked about this, I think, when I was on your show last time, actually. I raised my hand when they had their question answer, and I was asking if they had, any kind of demographic information, and they were like, no, we don't give that information out. You should, you're all on your own on that one. And then they said something about, gay characters or something. And I immediately, raised my hand. I was like, so we can write gay characters into, dragon submission, stuff like that. And he like danced around. He wouldn't even like really answer it. And then on top of it, when I wrote something again for them for 5e for Adventurers League. And I put gay characters in there, and they wrote them out. I mean, they weren't like, completely, it wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't fan fiction, I was talking about, everyone, all the characters giving each other handies or something, but there was the implication that these guys were together, and they just totally wrote all that crap out of the game. So
I blame China.
China.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't know. I think most of that stuff is
China.
I don't know. This
one of the things
concern
that's
trolling and social justice warrior stuff is it's just all about power. If they can use it to do something, then okay, they're gonna hold it up and trot it around. If if it somehow they can't use their agenda to, or their politics to push their agenda forward on whatever that is, which is really, if you think about it, they're personal, whatever, their own personal pursuit of power, I guess, or just pressing their will on the world, then they don't, they could give a crap.
It's all about power.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's they say everything is about power in the first place, right?
Yep. That's the basic of the Colton Derrida's argument, which is what these guys, it's their religion. So,
actually, I used to be a social justice warrior, sort of. I got a good social justice warrior story. You guys want to hear it?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, this is, I don't know, maybe I was 35 or something. I wrote, I did a Kobold Press, the King of Monsters and thing. And I won it twice for a couple monsters. I did the Horak and the Necrocorn. And I don't remember why I wanted to fuck with them. But I wrote this, shit, I should have just printed it out. I still have it somewhere. But I wrote this email to Wolfgang, and basically I was like, you can't call this the King of Monsters. That is patriarchal. And why does the ruler of all monsters have to be a king? And they changed it. It's now called, I don't know if they still run it. I don't really follow Kobold Press stuff anymore, but they changed it to the Monarch of Monsters contest. But that was me exerting power. And I thought about it a lot, and I was like I realized, I was like, oh, I was just trying to get power over these people, to make them do something, not just because I could, you know what I mean? I thought that was something that was good to do, I guess. But
you feel ashamed now?
I don't know about ashamed, because Wolfgang is a dick who pays crap to his freelancers, and most of these are RPG companies. I've written a bunch of books, and they're all better than Vengers, but I bet you anything Vengers probably made 10 times the amount of money that I've made. So
Fake
good on you,
news
Venger.
About the first part, fake news.
What's fake news?
That my stuff isn't that good.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Just roll with it. But
yeah, I am a billionaire now thanks to my role-playing game writing.
I'm sure you've made way more money in RPGs, because I worked for big companies. They pay crap. They pay absolute crap. They don't give you royalties. I mean, I've got a publisher account in RPG now. I know that Goodman Games can turn around and just give me 5% on PDF sales, and that cost him almost nothing,
Yeah.
But all these guys, they're just dicks. They're dicks.
Well,
RPG publishers are dicks.
Step one, you got to strike out on your own. Step two.
Yeah, I know. Well, I stopped writing anything for anybody, because I was just screw you people. I'm done with this shit. But then I haven't done anything, so I'm in the doldrums.
Either big titties or a big round ass.
Now you've lost us, Venger.
Step three. Hey, I'm just getting started here. Step three, call your game Charles. Step four, that's all I got.
Step four, your wife puts you to bed at 9 o'clock.
I was going to seek into this, right? Which is that I haven't actually watched Jeremy Crawford DMing, because he's DM'd apparently on some live streams and stuff like that. But when I did this video, I got a bunch of comments from people pointing out that he's actually a really bad DM and not very entertaining to watch. That's not me saying it. That's people who commented. I
haven't seen him either, but I don't know. You can just kind of tell the depth of people's, intelligence. I don't know. It's like I was watching this show and I would be like, Grimm and Pundit are the smart guys on the show, and then there's Venger.
Oh,
You
Jesus.
son of a bitch.
Now listen. Here's the thing, though.
I may not even
Right?
tag team you against Pundit. I might team up with Pundit. Shave you in the shower.
I
Yeah,
thought this
well,
was inappropriate characters. I'm just trying to be inappropriate.
You're succeeding at the mission. But,
Okay.
the thing is, if being a freelancer in the modern RPG industry, let's call it, is a sucker's game, right? Like you
It
said,
totally is.
but
Don't do it.
It's still one step actually above in every sense except public perception of being a house writer for a big company like Wizards of the Coast, right? Being a house writer for Wizards of the Coast, okay, it means that you've got a steady salary, but it's usually a pretty shitty salary.
Yeah.
And it means that people think you must be a really good game designer to do that. But the fact is that most of the design part of it is something that you don't actually do if you're one of the wage slaves for Wizards, right? There, you're just writing up stuff that the company tells you to write. And it's got very big limits in terms of how much creativity you can apply to that. And a lot of the kind of bigger concepts are only thought up by the people right at the very top. As I love to point out, I've never interacted with Jeremy Crawford, even though I spent close to 2 years consulting on 5th edition, because I was working with Jeremy Crawford's boss, Mike Merles, and that's where all the big ideas were being discussed. And over the course of hundreds of emails, we covered all kinds of stuff. And in no moment was it like, oh, well, we need to know what Jeremy Crawford thinks about this, right? Like that was never brought into the picture, right? And so like when people say, oh, such and such, like sometimes I hear people on, let's say, our side of the argument say, well, Kate Welch was hired to write for Wizards of the Coast, and that doesn't make any sense because she doesn't have any writing credits in RPGs and she's a girl, right? And and then everybody says, oh, well, it's just, you guys are just sexist. And, maybe some of the people saying that are sexist. But the more important part is that they're making this argument that, oh, no, it's not that we're sexist. She's unqualified. That's not true, because you don't need very high qualifications at all to do the type of writing work for Wizards of the Coast that the typical Wizards of the Coast employee does. You just need to be able to show up to work, right? You need to have a certain basic work discipline, which granted, a lot of RPG designers might not have. And you need to be able to type what they tell you to type, and to put it together in the right format. You have to be a decent technical writer. But in terms of creativity, these aren't the creative people in the hobby, right? The creative people in the hobby are all doing their own stuff. And the proof of this is that the few people that work for companies like Wizards of the Coast that do have real creativity break out on their own and go and do their own stuff as soon as they think it's going to be financially viable for them.
Yeah, or they just get pushed out.
Yeah, but then they also usually will end up doing their own stuff, right? Like, that's where the money is. Right, and that's why
Avenger, you want to see my cock?
Hey, we've got limits given here.
Is this a trick question?
Look at the screen.
Let's save it for the next show. Oh, that cock, yes. I was admiring that earlier during our.
I was trying to cover it up.
Workshopping technical.
Bittman shows everybody his cock.
It's supposed to be the reveal.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
I screwed up the reveal. I gotta get my DM card revoked.
Well, Pundit, if Job doesn't work out, I think maybe Job's cock could fill in as a stunt cock. Oh, snap.
Somehow, once again, I can't believe this. Grimm is gone. And we're sorry to see him go, by the way. I didn't want him gone. He was the one that didn't want to be here, right?
I'm sorry, too.
Grimm, if you change your mind, you can come back and then there'll be the four of us, right? Like I don't have any hard feelings against Grimm, Jim. I want to point that out. I also want to mention, I recently heard that his cat passed away, and as a fellow cat lover, my deepest condolences to him for that. We love Grimm. He was
crying on the internet. I saw it.
Yeah, Grimm has gone crazy because of COVID, but it's not that we have anything against him. We would definitely welcome him back here. We'd still keep Job on because then it would be even funnier. But you know,
Someone
I
to kick
had
around.
I had thought maybe that when Grim was gone and Job was here, there would be like, you know, it wouldn't be that I would be the least degenerate of the group, but clearly that's still the case, you know, like, because I thought, you know, Grim does these kind of RPG products full of like sexy lady parties and things like that, like a kind of Benny Hill humor. And then Venger has his products that are full of, you know, sophomoric American sort of, I guess, like Animal House style of humor, you know, and I'm the only guy that makes that doesn't emphasize that out of the three of us. And I thought, well, Joe probably is a you know, normal sort of guy, and here he is, first episode on, and he's showing everyone his cock. You know?
I'm just getting a communique from my wife, and she actually is pissed off because that's actually my wife's cock.
Oh,
She's watching the show, and she doesn't want me to claim that it's my cock.
That's feminism, everybody.
That's even worse.
Right? Oh my God.
On that note, Daddy has to go to bed. So
bedtime for Venger. All right.
Bedtime for
We'll
Venger.
see you next time.
Don't
Venger.
forget your melatonin, Venger.
Am I too white or too green? Something. I'm too something.
No, I just want you to go to sleep. Get some rest.
That. Well, I got my warm milk with tentacles, so that should help.
Oh crap! God damn it! Hey, is there any way that you can just not actually leave the Zoom meeting?
I can leave it open. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do that? You can
That's
just
fine.
mute it or whatever. Yeah. I just realized that if you leave, all the videos will reshuffle, and then all these things that I set up are going to get screwed up.
Yeah. No problem. I'll just turn the
All
sound
right.
down.
Thanks, man.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll figure some solution out in the future. I don't know.
We'll work it out. Take care, Venger. Some comments.
There
from
you
our
go.
audience.
See, marketing.
Excellent.
Wait, I can't see it. Oh man, lost chance. But thanks for leaving it open, Venger. Not
Some
too smart,
comments
but
here
he's a
from
great
our
guy.
audience. Let me see here. I had it a second ago. Brad Miltonic says, I was with Venger up to the name your game chalt part. Snowman0147 said, Kevin Crawford and Jeremy Crawford should have a duel to see who gets to keep the last name. You know, I really feel sorry for Kevin Crawford. You know who Kevin Crawford is, right? The guy behind Synonomina Games makes incredible OSR games, you know, like
Hey, who's this dude?
Stars Without Number and Red Tide, you know, one of the most clever OSR designers.
Who's this?
Kevin Crawford.
Oh yeah. I know that guy.
Stars Without Number, Red Tide, Other Dust.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of really good OSR products. And here he has the same last name. As far as I know, he's no relation to Jeremy Crawford, but it must really piss him off to get to get stuck with people asking, which Crawford are you talking about? Because only one of those two Crawfords is actually a competent game designer. Brad Miltonic says, I like this new direction for inappropriate characters.
All right. Awesome.
Snowman says, Grim yeeted himself out because the Corona Chan was too strong.
Oh man. This is
Brad Miltonic
I'm
says,
a good time.
Yeah. Brad Miltonic says, it's not inappropriate characters without Venger's bedtime.
Right. Oh my God.
And Mr. Triceratops is the best one. Mr. Triceratops says, Venger is showing his support for Black Lives Matter with his black screen.
Oh, damn. I forgot to ask you. I started on the show. I forgot to ask you what you guys' pronouns are. I know Venger's got some kind of
pronouns. I don't know what they
dragon.
are. Yeah,
I saw him somewhere. You know, I'm just gonna Google him and I go to his blog spot or whatever the hell, and I'm just gonna start using them.
That's good. That's proper.
All right. Well, what were we going to talk about? One other little thing. We should probably start winding down. Okay. So, last thing I brought up, I wanted to bring onto this one was, did you see that you know, there was this whole controversy about the Marvel New Warriors, comic, and they had these new characters, Safe Space and Trigger Warning and Trailblazer. Who's got, Peggy McIntosh's invisible backpack apparently, and
the most famous one was Safe Space. That was just unbelievable.
Yeah, but anyway, so that. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, bud.
When that comic came out, I pointed out that if Diversity in Comics had made a comic with those characters, they'd accuse them of a hate crime, right? Like the exact same characters, right? But if they were written by someone who was clearly not a woke person, you'd look at this and you'd say, this is like a humiliating mockery and whatever, right? Like they would be totally insulted, right? Because the characters are absolutely absurd. You can't parody this shit, it's just crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's this whole brouhaha online recently that the Marvel took down the page, the new page for New Warriors. So people were like, is it canceled? Apparently they pushed back the launch date on it. So I don't know. I'm going to take it to the chat and see if anyone read anything about this.
Part of that could have to do with the fact that both Marvel and DC are in huge trouble right now, because essentially the lockdowns in your country have ended up making their whole business model non-viable, right? And they're in a big mess as far as the comics part of it anyways, right? But there are a lot of people questioning whether that's ever going to come back, right? Because the comic stores were already closing in droves during the best economy America has ever had, right? And then this lockdown happened and this complete economic collapse. Is there going to be a single gaming store left open, and like,
a bunch of them have been looted too. The looters have like busted them in and burned them down, a couple of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy world.
Brian Harris in our comments says Trailblazer ate the other New Warriors, so they had to cancel the book.
Oh my God.
Oh, now that is some mean fat shaming, Brian Harris. Totally inappropriate.
You came to the right channel.
Yeah. I mean, you have to wonder how much farther this the woke culture in popular media is really going to be able to run after this. And I've already made my predictions about that. I think. Well, what do you think first?
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So I mean, I felt like it was winding down, especially with COVID. I read the news. I read like Google News. I read a bunch of news sites every day, but it used to always be like, I don't know, there'd be some headline like, I don't know, the gender pay gap is real and whatever the hell. That's not a good example, but you know what I'm talking about. And you see these headlines every freaking day, like you scroll through the news and like half of them would be some kind of woke framing on whatever the news of the day was. And then COVID hit, and then like all that stuff just disappeared. There's like maybe one or two like COVID is disproportionately affecting people of Black communities or something like that. I mean, that's an interesting story to read, but the framing of the whole thing, if you looked at it, was kind of like, oh, society can do better, and it's the fault of society. And who the hell knows where COVID came from, or I guess we know where it came from, but whatever. I'm just sick of even talking about it anymore. I used to follow that stuff so much. But now with after George Floyd and all these protests, it seems like it's come back like tenfold. What do you think?
Well, here's what I think. I think that consistently over the last several years, but at an increasing speed, you've seen the SJWs getting more pushback, and in response to that pushback, doubling down, But the problem is every time they double down, they increase the intensity of what they're trying to do. They end up alienating more people. From the point of view of a corporate perspective, that means that every time they do that, they become less profitable, right? They become louder, but less successful at what they're doing. And I think that this phenomenon is going to keep going. And what you're seeing right now is part of that, right? Like this is, like a lot of times we can end up mistaking moments of what are actually the crest of a wave starting to crash for like some kind of moment of glory where things are about to actually change, right? Like you saw that in the 1960s, right? Woodstock, at the time, people that went to Woodstock, these hippies, the last great leftist movement, thought that Woodstock was the moment everything would start happening, right? Like that was the peak, that they had succeeded, but it was actually the end, right? Like that was, after that, everything just fell apart. And the whole hippie movement kind of dissolved, right? And especially then after 72, after McGovern got his ass kicked by Nixon. And it's true that Nixon cheated, but it was very clear also that he didn't actually have to. If he hadn't cheated, he'd still have won, right, by a landslide. And so I think what's going to happen is that, and I've been saying this for a while now, is that you're going to see more and more intense reactions by the SJW crowd all through 2020 until November. And unless he really screws up, like you'd have to monumentally screw up here, or he dies somehow, right? Which let's hope not, right? Donald Trump's going to win in November, right? Like it's going to take a really, really huge deal for him to lose. And then when he wins, you're going to see a couple of months of just absolute outrage that'll make the kind of hysteria that happened after he won the first time look small by comparison, and then it'll be done. They'll have completely run out of gas. So that's my prediction as far as how this is going to go.
I don't know. I mean,
like there'll still be SJWs causing trouble here and there, but nobody will pay attention to them anymore. No one will care. They're already seeing. Sorry, go ahead.
It could be, but I mean, at the same time, I kind of think that, we could see like a resurgence of kind of like the protesting that's going on now when Donald Trump is reelected, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be reelected. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, Joe Biden is not a viable candidate. The, Democratic Party, which I've been a member of, my whole life, basically, is a corrupt organization that, if you think of, I think of it, like the Republican Party and Democratic Party as a machine that is like sorting ideas basically up to the top, and the machine, what proved to me, Donald Trump's election to me proved that the Republican Party's machinery is actually working in a fair way, because none of the Republican Party establishment wanted Donald Trump, and they were like, well, this is what the votes say. Okay. On the Democratic side, in 2016, we saw Bernie get, screwed over by Hillary, but it wasn't just Hillary. It's the machinery of the Democratic Party, the DNC. And there haven't been any reforms since then. So it's a broken and corrupt machine for political ideas, and which is unfortunate. I mean, I'm not really a huge Trump fan, but I don't hate him either.
So you can feel free not to answer this, but I'm going to ask it. Okay. Did you vote for Trump in 2016, and are you thinking of voting for Trump in 2020?
Okay, so Bernie Sanders was my guy in 2016. I considered voting for Trump, especially because I'm in Washington and Republicans never going to win here, and it was just F you vote. But my girlfriend, who is now my wife, gave me a really hard time, so I ended up voting for Hillary. Because again,
like Bender, you voted Hillary. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
And now,
not in Washington, doesn't matter. I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm going to sit out, or I'll vote for Trump. I might vote for Trump. I really might.
Interesting. Very good. So
Because I'll just say whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. I don't care what you think. Chat room.
And has your wife
bastard.
changed opinions?
My wife? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I probably shouldn't drag her into this. She'll be like canceled or something.
Oh, okay. Let's not do that then. So, what was I was going to say something about this.
Even if I don't vote for him, Trump's going to win. I mean, come on. People are talking about abolishing the police and like no normal people want that. You hear all these the shrill voices on the internet and Twitter, but like then you get in the voting booth, it's like real people, and like polling says America is like a center right nation anyway. So I don't know.
Tim Pool said if Joe Biden endorses defund the police, then Trump could literally not do a damn thing between now and November, and he'd still get 538 electoral votes. he'd completely sweep, right?
I think I saw that one. Yeah, I like Tim Pool.
He's such an unpopular position.
He's good. Yeah, my kids, oh my God, they give me so much hard time about him. They're like, he's a hateful person. And I was like, he's just reading news articles. He's not hateful. He's just reading the articles.
So, who was giving you a hard time?
Oh, my kids.
Oh, really? Are you've misraised your kids then, have you?
I can't. Oh my God.
None of them are red pilled, really?
Yeah, I get. I would say maybe I've been red pilled at this point. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it anymore.
Well, young people have a chance to change, right? I remember what I was going to say. You were saying, well, that there might be a repeat of the kind of riots you're seeing right now. If Trump wins. Yeah, that's entirely possible. But the thing is, Karl Marx wasn't right about a lot of stuff, but he's somewhat right, like even as a historian, but he's somewhat right when he said that all revolutions repeat themselves twice, the second time as tragedy and the third time as farce. I think.
I just wanted to add one thing that I wanted to say before, and I know you like to talk over people from watching the show, but I mentioned that I liked Yes Wife, that I like Trump, and I like Trump is as far as his policies, we're like Biden's. I mean, he had freaking Biden's policy. What did I say Biden for? Bernie's policies on trade, which I've always been behind, those ending a lot of these trade deals. I really think we need to bring, you're not an American, but
no, but I
really think we need to bring the industries back here. I think it's completely,
there's a reason so many unions endorsed Trump over Hillary,
Yeah. You're gonna get the jobs, but too, it's like, what do we have now? We have this like globalist system where we export all the manufacturing over to China, and we have all these environmental protections here, but we're just offshoring our pollution to China. Like they need to bring the industries back here and clean them up, because China is just gonna make them dirtier.
Yep. If you look at Donald Trump's policies, they're actually unbelievably similar to Bill Clinton's policies in 92 and 96.
They're don't really start on fucking Clinton, man. I don't like Clinton either.
Yeah, but in terms of
he's a Republican, like Obama. But whatever.
Well, this is the thing, right? Is that Clinton's policies were, they for one thing, they were politically winning policies because he got elected twice, right? But besides that, it was that his policies were the mainstream of the Democratic Party in the 1990s. And today, if you looked at them, he would be a Republican. He would have to be, because those same policies would never fly in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, well, too, they were like anti-gay marriage and all kinds of stuff back then,
Yeah, I don't mean his social policies. I mean his policies on trade. Trump was, in fact, the first presidential candidate who, on his first run for president, said that he supported gay marriage, right? Like Trump did that, right? There's no other There was no other candidate. Obama didn't do it. Hillary didn't do it on her first time. You know, he was the first presidential candidate that said that, you know.
Yeah. But,
Out
you
of the
know,
major
I mean,
parties.
I don't like Trump deregulating everything either. I mean, you know, so, and he's kind of a dick. You know, I wish our president wasn't such a dick. But I mean, I also like dicks. I just don't want my president to be a dick.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have a straightforward asshole than a guy who's a big smiler, but you know,
Right?
that
Yeah, and lied behind his back.
country, right?
Yeah. All right,
Anyway,
are we boring the shit out of people? We probably should wrap this up.
I don't know, but I was gonna comment that if there's a second wave of protest, people will not stand for it, and that the second time you're gonna see a very quick clampdown, and nobody will be able to put up an opposition for it. It's the same way because Democrats ruined themselves by doing this. Yeah, like right now, you saw these protests all over the place, and all the Democratic governors and mayors just let it happen, right? They gave carte blanche to the rioters. They told the police they're not allowed to interfere. They issued, some of them said they support it, right? And
these are the same cities where these atrocious crimes are happening most often.
That's right. The Democrat-run cities, you know, but they did this, and you're going to have this huge pushback. And it's the same way. It's the same thing with the lockdown, anyways, right? Like nobody's ever going to believe in doing the lockdown ever again because they saw all of these that you know, up till last week, and in fact, in many states, still to this right now, you're theoretically not allowed to, you know, meet your cousins at a barbecue where there's, you know, 12 of you, but 20,000 Antifa guys can go and set fire to the city, and you have the media saying no, the risk of COVID from that is very low. But we can't have churches meeting because, you know, in a church, the risk of COVID is very high. Apparently, supporting Black Lives Matter is the secret cure or the secret vaccine for the coronavirus, you know?
Yeah. It's power. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so you're going to get, you know, the next time that somebody says, oh, you have to lock down, you're going to see, instead of eventual protests against it, you're going to see people telling the authorities to fuck off right from the start, you know? And you're going to see that in the same way, if there's rioting in the streets, Trump reelected, he doesn't have to run ever again, right? He'll call the National Guard in, and people will say, yeah, that's what you have to do, because we saw what happened after, and we saw the cost of what happened. Like those cities that have been on fire for the last week, it's going to take them 20 years to recover from this, right? And most of the people in those cities are minorities, right? That were already disadvantaged, and that they became the victims of this Antifa hijacking of what were theoretically legitimate protests at the beginning, you know?
Right. Or defunding the police. If these kind of policies somehow gain traction, I think those communities are going to be the worst hit by the policies.
Yeah, you know? It's going to be horrific, actually. You're going to see every time that they double down, the pushback gets worse, right? That's what happens when you're trying to maintain the bubble, and you have to always double the energy you put into it. Eventually, it just can't hold out against reality.
Yeah. You know, actually, we probably should wrap up soon, but my oldest daughter organized like a youth protest or whatever on the island that I live on. And so I went down there to, you know, give her some support or whatever, just stop by and brought them. I was going to bring her some water and snacks, but they already had some. But yeah, I was really kind of shocked at how young all the kids were there at this protest. I mean, it was organized by younger kids, but there's a lot of really young kids, and I don't know. I think maybe it's probably like I don't understand a lot of the thrust behind it. My gut feeling is that it's like social media or something, because I mean, you know, with like Trayvon Martin or something, I mean, we're talking about like an actual miscarriage of justice or I don't know the case that much, but the justice system worked. And then there was a sentencing, and then people objected to the sentencing and went out and protested. Here we, you know, with George Floyd, I mean, I watched the video and it was disgusting. It was a fucking snuff.
No, it was an egregious act of police brutality. Nobody's doing that.
but I just tried to say, okay, well, we got to wait at least for the autopsy. I mean, maybe the guy just had a heart attack or something, you know what I mean? Or there's some other, complication, but it looks really bad for this guy. And then they had the police one come out, and it cleared him. But then the first thing I said was like, okay, well, then the family is going to get their own autopsy, and it's going to say this exact opposite thing, which is exactly what happened like 3 days later. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, we're in a world where like you can't make sense of anything anymore. I mean, I don't know.
Well, because the media doesn't actually have any commitment to telling the truth anymore. And as for why there are all those kids, it's because the extreme left took over. The first thing they took over was the schools, right? Starting with academia and the universities, and then they took over the education departments of those universities, and then they produced a bunch of ideologues to infiltrate the K to 12 schools, right? So
Well, go ahead, sorry.
Any kids that have gone to public school in almost any first world country in the West today have had 13 years of leftist indoctrination put into their heads.
Yeah.
It's not surprising. It's why they're so against homeschooling. Like one of the big fears out of the lockdown is that a bunch of parents realized, well, my kids are thriving under homeschooling, and apparently it really works. And they're terrified that you're going to have a bunch after the lockdown's over, you're going to have a big boost in homeschooling. And that's why you had things like Harvard come out and suggest that homeschooling should be illegalized. It's because they're afraid they won't be able to continue the indoctrination programs.
Well, I can say after 3 months of COVID lockdown that fuck homeschooling. Jesus Christ, these kids, they don't do a goddamn thing. I got 5 kids. I'm like Venger.
Oh, Jesus.
Three of my own and 2 of my wife's. So, all right. I think we finally bored everybody. I think we should wrap this one up.
Yeah, just one more question. Are you officially where you are you still under lockdown?
Oh my God. We have like multiple phases. I'm in Washington State, so they have like multiple phases of what certain businesses open. I don't even know the whole list, but I think now restaurants can open up at 50% capacity, or maybe just outside or something. I think gyms are back open. I probably should go back to the gym. I'm putting on some weight. Yeah, it's like there's 5 phases to the whole thing. So it's so complicated. I don't know. I work from home before this all started.
Now? Or is everyone just going out and doing whatever they're going to do?
Yeah, here it seems like no one gives a crap anymore. I mean, everyone's wearing their masks or whatever, which I think is probably a good idea.
Yeah, sure, that's sensible.
And a lot of the the early information, I guess, like the lockdowns really didn't do anything other than destroy our economy and like
exactly
spark rioting when people were so fed up that they had this first spark and it blew everyone up.
Yeah, exactly. That was part of what motivated the social unrest. But where I live in Uruguay, which has just been declared a model for its handling of the coronavirus. Okay. We have now got less than 100 active cases in the entire country. The capital city, which has 1.5 million people in it, currently has 36 active cases left, and they're dropping steadily. And we never, ever did a lockdown, right? The government said, no, screw that. We're not going to lock down and destroy our economy. And, now you look at this and you say, well, like, how can anyone, Grim Jim, for example, how can anyone think that was the sensible model to undertake? When you see an example of a country that didn't do that, now Uruguay is looking, it has the best economic outlook of any country in Latin America, because all the other countries locked down and they're all a mess, right? And it never had to destroy its own social fabric to do it,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
People were lied to.
To get into Grim Jim psychology, or just the psychology of someone who's on the far left, I think he probably gets his information in a certain way that is probably not healthy. I mean, or
you get a lot of confirmation bias,
Yeah, Yeah.
You already come in with an idea of what you want to believe, and then you follow that, right? And cleave to it, even when all the evidence starts to point in the other direction, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I used to read a lot of stuff, but it's so hard to even read the news anymore because it's like credibly accused and all this like fucking gobbledygook language. It's so hard to like. I can't even read the New York, like half the time the New York Times stuff. It's just like, how is this journalism? It's so bad. But
you remember when you must, as someone who is Democrat, you must have at some point in your life made a lot of fun of Fox News, their old slogan of fair and balanced, right?
Yeah,
exactly. You remember when
exactly.
that was a joke? When, because I remember it back when I was, I was anti-Bush, all during the Bush years. I was totally opposed to the Iraq War. And I remember laughing at Fox News for having the slogan fair and balanced, right? And now you look at them compared to all the other news networks and go, shit, they're the most fair and balanced one left, They finally, by process of elimination, have finally become the fair and balanced news network,
Yeah, you're probably like me too. I used to hate Tucker Carlson with his freaking bow tie. He was so smug, and his opinions just sucked. And I just hated that guy. And then I tune him to every once in a while now. I'm like,
Tucker grew up a lot, to be fair. He spent a little while in the wilderness, and then when he came back, he was a lot smarter. But,
he actually has good opinions about stuff, and he sees from his speech. It seems like he sees multiple sides of an argument. I don't know. He seems like he's willing to engage. Oh, why the hell am I talking about?
That's the main thing, right? You've got to listen to all the perspectives, right? So like I read, I'll read The Guardian and see what they're saying, right? Usually I'll end up laughing, but I'll read it, and I'll look at what, they say in The Spectator and Fox News or wherever, right? Spiked is a great, is a really good source of news because they're actually like old school Marxists, but now they look like they're, red-pilled warriors because they can't stand the SJWs because they realize that's not real Marxism, so that's really interesting stuff to read. Well, you look at all of it, right? And then you have to like have your open perspective. The people that fail, and there are some people on the right that do this too, right? Where they say, oh no, if it's an article in salon.com, I'm never going to read it. And in fact, it must be wrong, and then people on the left do this all the time, right? Where you go, you can't prove this, and you show them an article and they're like, oh, but that's a Breitbart article. That's just, hate speech. I'm not even going to open that, that sort of mentality is something I can never understand.
Yeah, me either.
It's a big part of the problem.
So, I mean, I think you're more conservative than me, but I think really we're pretty close.
Well,
somehow, and I don't consider myself conservative at all.
So like,
were you a punk rocker?
Not an anarchist like Antifa, who are fake anarchists. I'm an actual anarchist, right? But
were you like a punk rocker or something when you were a kid?
Well, I was a punk fan when I was a kid. I saw Green Day before they hit it big. Let's put it that way.
Oh, Jesus Christ, get out of here! Green Day.
Shitty punk, but it's. Yeah, I'm a little too young to have.
Did you follow Rancid too?
No, I never liked Rancid. But I was a little too young to have gone to see, the Ramones or something like that, before they became really commercial.
I was too young, but I used to go, and I started going to punk rock shows when I was like 13 because I had a girlfriend with a hippie parents that would like music, so they would drive us to all this awesome stuff. But the Ramones used to play all the freaking time. Like every other weekend, there'd be a flyer like, "What the Ramones were just here like 2 weeks ago. Why the fuck are they here again?" And all those times, I never saw them once, and now I'm fucked. I love the Ramones, and I never saw them, and I had so many chances.
Yeah, but and they were conservative punks, They were the same kind of conservative that I am, really,
No, well, that's not true. Johnny Ramone, the guitarist, is really conservative. Joey, the singer, he is like New York left-wing, super far left-wing Jew. And then Dee Dee, I don't know. Dee Dee doesn't give a shit. Dee Dee was, the bass player. He's
yeah, but it's in the same sense because I've always said that, like what my conservative anarchism, let's say, is basically I don't believe anyone that anyone has the right to tell me what to do. you know, and I don't have the right to tell anyone else what to do for themselves, right? Like that's the fundamental of it, right? And the problem is that used to be what left-wing people thought, you know, like when I was my views on free speech haven't changed a bit from when I was 18.
Mine
when
either.
I was 18, yeah, when I was 18, that was the view that someone, you know, a liberal or a Democrat would have, right? Like free speech, absolute free speech. And the people who were trying to censor you were all Republicans or conservatives, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
now it's like 30 years later, and, you know, I have the exact same views, but now it's all the left, you know, the liberals and the Democrats that want to censor you, right? And the conservatives are like, no, fuck it, say whatever you want, right? That's your, because it's America, you know, like the parties switch.
I feel this is like the third mass hysteria I've lived through. So I think we're similar in age. You know, when I was a kid, there was the whole satanic panic stuff. And you know, that touched my life. My mom like burned all my D&D stuff and all my character sheets and shit. And then I wrote all these adventures when I was a kid, and maps, and she burned all that stuff, and everyone freaked out about it. And then you know, everything was super right wing after 9/11. If you remember that, like in the news, it was just like constant, like
a lot of bad country music songs about America.
Right. Yeah. And it was just like, and you know, that was, you know, Alan Combs' heyday, you know, or he's dead now, but you remember Alan Combs, right? He was like the wet squirrel Democrat that on Fox News that they would just bring out and beat him like a piñata.
Yeah.
And you know, I worked for this like I had this Mormon boss that would bring me in the office every day and just like lecture me about what was on Rush Limbaugh that day, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like, this is fucking torture. I have to listen to this for an hour-long stand-up every day, and you know, I just keep my mouth shut. I want a job, and you know, and left as soon as I could, and said, you know, fuck this place. But you know, and then now there's like this whole other like kind of far left mass hysteria I feel like we're living through now, where you know, people aren't, it's not rational, it's, I don't know, they always use the word performativity, and it's like people have set aside their rational minds and they're just like playing out this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
NPCs or something. I don't know what the hell. I feel like an alien.
They're cosplaying a Disney version of Che Guevara or something like that, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. Especially, I have no respect for game designers that push all this stuff, because for me, I mean, to me, it's very obvious that like, if you like break this down, you know, like if we're going to attack free speech and the Second Amendment or whatever, that these things are going to destroy if you take those things away, like trans rights don't come around or whatever, you know. And I got plenty of problems with trans people, but if you destroy like these fundamental like American political ideals, then you're destroying like the ability for people to voice their dissent, and for, you know, the wider society to like come to respect them and like, you know, honor what they want to do. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, freedom of speech is the foundation of the ship of the modern concept of human rights. And so if you're trying to sink freedom of speech, everybody who's protected by it, you know, they're doing it in the name of human rights, but all those human rights will disappear, you know.
Yeah, I agree. It's like they've decided that, you know, these people in their minds are like, we've achieved the end state of society and culture, and so let's chop all these things down so that there's no method for anyone else to voice their opinions again or be heard. And you know, I don't know. I like to hear other people's opinions.
It's the sort of thing that can only happen in an extremely successful and extremely prosperous civilization, right? Where people are so detached from the reality of what default humanity is like, right? Of what a world without civilization is like, that they imagine if they tear down all of the work that was put into making that stability and prosperity, that what will result is going to be a utopia and not a nightmare.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
crazy.
Yeah, I
guess
feel
on
like
that note,
we're preaching to the choir here. I think if
Yeah,
they're
we are,
watching
yeah.
this show.
For the most part, yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
and Vito is pissing me off. He said punk sucks, and
Yeah,
well,
there's always someone who's
Vito,
going to say
we should hang out sometime and have a drink, and I'll play you some good punk because you probably listen to Green Day or something.
that. In the early moments, Green Day was good. They've sold out later, but I saw them before they were even famous, and that was a really good concert, actually. Not my favorite band, though.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. How do you wrap up this show? I don't even know.
No, we wrap up usually by reminding people to subscribe and to share this video anywhere that they would like to share it, like the video. We're not monetized, so if you want to support us on Patreon. A few more Patreon bucks, and maybe eventually I'll get to stay up another 15 minutes before his bedtime. And also to check out each of our individual channels. I don't know, you don't have a channel yet, do you, Joe?
No, whatever. I figured I'm gonna screw up your channel, like with a 10-minute delay on getting us started today, and then once I actually know what I'm doing, then I'll start my own channel.
Support us on Patreon so that Job can take lessons to improve his ability at being our video guy.
I think I did pretty good. Jesus Christ, man!
You did okay
feel like
for your first try.
Jumped your shit up.
No, you did. You did all right for your first try. Not a problem.
And
check out my channel, the RPG Pundit. Subscribe to that. And check out our products. Check out especially my brand new Star Adventure Space Opera RPG, but all my other RPG Pundit Presents products too. They're all very affordable and really useful in any OSR D&D style game. They cost between 99 cents to $4.99, and so it's as though you're giving me some Patreon money, but you're getting something immediately in return that you can choose from like 100 different issues now to pick whatever ones sound like they're going to be useful for your campaign. I think that's a much better way of doing it than just asking you to just throw money at me for nothing. So check that out too.
All right.
I guess that's it.
We're monetization 2020. I'm going to make it happen.
Currently smoking Stanwell Deluxe plus Image Latakia.
All right. I don't think they can hear us anymore. You see I got stream end down there now?
Can you still hear us?
I don't think they can hear us. I'll end the stream in a second, but I'm not watching the live YouTube. Does it say stream ending now?
It doesn't yet.
Oh, okay.
That might be the delay.
Yeah, it's like a 30-40 second delay or something.
Let's see here.
What's that, honey? Does it say stream ending? Oh, they can still hear us. All right. I probably shouldn't talk shit about Vito, but our viewers. But metal sucks, and
the stream ending thing just came on.
Yeah, metal sucks.